In 2009, Schleich released its Howling Wolf. This figure quickly became iconic, along with the other figures released in this year. But 3 years later, Schleich went in a different direction. This is the 2012 Australian Shepherd. It's significantly smaller than Schleich's older dogs, and its paws are more cat-like. The sculpting is much more rigid and sharp, and the paint jobs are a lot more vibrant and cartoony. So why do the older models feel so much better if the newer models were supposed to be an improvement? Somewhere around 2009, Schleich began gradually decreasing the quality of their figures. The 2009 Labrador is the perfect example of this. While it retains Schleich's old paint jobs and sculpting, it is significantly smaller than the older models. And these figures only got worse from here. This is Schleich's 2009 Cheetah, and this is Schleich's 2015 Cheetah. However, they both look like they were made by different brands. The 2009 Cheetah had smooth sculpting and a natural, realistic paint job. The quality of the plastic in the older models also felt much better than the newer models, which is another reason they feel like they're made by a different company. Don't get me wrong, I like the 2015 Cheetah, however, it doesn't look or feel like Schleich. The first thing I dislike about this model is the inconsistent sculpting. Parts of it are very rigid, while others are smooth and try to incorporate the older style. Schleich went for 3D sculpting to try to make the newer models look more realistic, but it just makes them look messy. The paint job is also a downgrade. It's a lot more saturated, which does not look as realistic, and the spots look like they were just kind of dabbed on there at random. I really wouldn't hate these models so much if they weren't trying to be better than the older models. And that's where they don't hit the mark. Instead of just manufacturing the older models, Schleich tried to fix something that wasn't broken. Schleich's new cats and dogs look like merchandise for a children's television show, rather than realistic depictions of animals. Schleich's older Doodle Dog captures a playful demeanor without looking like cheap merchandise. Schleich's new Golden Doodle isn't as bad as the other models because the 3D fur texture actually works on poodles. I don't think I mind this model as much because it doesn't have a weird cartoony face, and it also doesn't have anime eyes. Schleich's older Doodle Dog is able to look silly while also retaining its realism. This dog is able to smile and have wide cartoony eyes because it is in a pose and an expression where a dog would actually be looking like this. The dog is playing, the pose is fluid, and he's sticking his tongue out. Where wide eyes and smiles don't work is in this figure here. There are many problems with Schleich's newer wolf pup. Schleich's older wolf pup is a very accurate representation of a wolf. It has pointy ears, long legs, and grayish-brown fur, which wolf pups at 5 weeks old would actually have. The newer pup does not share this charm. To start, this figure looks very disproportionate. The pose just doesn't work. The super large paws look more like a bear's paws rather than a canine's paws. The ears are also very round and more bear-like. The thing I hate the most about this figure is the fact that it has a hairline. The model is also smiling, which does not give it a realistic feel at all. And this is where the Doodle hit the mark and the wolf pup missed. Both are trying to look silly and charming, but one of them just doesn't look right. Another example of weird cartoony facial expressions is the red fox. Schleich's red fox is actually one of my favorite figures, but Schleich's newer fox looks like it tried to be this fox and took way too much caffeine. The mangy coat on this figure can be excused by saying it's just a summer coat, but the sculpting looks very messy. The sculpting on the body looks like someone just dragged a tool in the same direction, and the face has that weird, creepy smile that I hate. Schleich again went for a 3D fur texture on the tail to try to make it look bushy and fluffy, but the old one did this without making it look messy. Again, there was no need to fix what wasn't broken with these figures. Schleich could have just continued producing the older models, and came out with other models in the same style. There's also a significant size difference between the older Schleich and the new Schleich. And maybe this wouldn't be a problem if the other brands didn't have models that were of the same scale as the older Schleich. You can make a film with just about any other brand with the older Schleich, and they still look like they belong in the same world. But the newer dogs can only really be used in films with each other, and you can't really use any other brands or they look off. The new scale actually does work with the smaller dogs. They size up nicely next to the older figures. While they do look cartoony, it can be fixed with a little bit of customizing. And dogs like the standard poodle can just be used as a miniature poodle, same with the golden doodle. One theory as to why Schleich changed the scale is that so the dogs could look more proportionate with the humans. And while they definitely do look better next to the humans, why not just make the humans taller? Because now there's a whole slew of new issues, like not being able to use them with other brands. This theory would also explain why Schleich didn't change the scales of the other figures, such as the big cats, the horses, the house cats, and the deer. As for the drastic change in style, I can only guess someone else took over the company, was head of whatever design department they have, or they just changed their demographic and started marketing towards much younger children. As of now, I can't really find much information online as to why this change happened, and I don't work for Schleich, so I probably don't have the answer.